I am so happy to hit record on this video. I have been in this space where YouTube has been a desire of mine for a long time, and I've always found something else to do. But baby, we're here. We're here and we're getting down to the nitty gritty because I am in these conversations with founders, with business leaders who are having to navigate the immense change that we are dealing with every single day. Having to make the best decision for their businesses and for their personal lives. And it's a lot. It is a lot. So I wanted to really come on here and facilitate the conversations with you as well. And just talk about some of the things that I'm seeing in my work, because I feel like the only way that we're able to address it is to get it out in the open. I was just telling a friend this weekend, we don't know what we don't know until we're in a room with someone who happens to know maybe that one more thing that is a key that unlocks something that we just hadn't thought about. And so that's what I am really wanting to come on here and jingle the keys. Jingle the keys to see if I can possibly unlock something for you that you just hadn't thought about, or is that a solution or a way that you can think. I always tell people, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to show you possibility and how to think and what's possible when you think differently and when you give a damn about being different. So that's where we are. I've got my notes here because I got some things. Okay. We're going to talk about that inflection point, that place where growth in a business, when you're building your team, where things start to fall apart. But let me introduce myself just in case you don't know who I am and you're new to this channel. My name is Abriana. I am a brand alignment strategist, and yes, I made that up because it's what I see that is needed. In very simple terms, I work with businesses and organizations on how they show up, how that impacts. Oh, actually, no, let me take that back. Not only how they show up, who they say they are. Got to be more clear and more simple. I work with businesses on who they say they are, how they operate, and how people experience them. Because if those three things are not in alignment, then they are not going to see the growth and the sustained growth, or the sustainable growth that they expect. Because misalignment costs. It might not always cost at the bottom line, but it costs when it comes to your team, your culture, and the clarity of the business. So when I do this work, I am usually working with founders and executive teams to facilitate the conversation on how are those things aligning, what are those gaps, and where do we need to prioritize to address those things so we can stop losing our team members, losing the business wisdom that comes from those people, and losing our customers. So that is basically what I'm doing now. I'll get into a little bit more background on me later on, but today I just kind of wanted to talk about the inflection point that I've been seeing when businesses grow to a certain amount of employees. I personally believe that once you get, depending on the business type, once you get to 10 to 15 people on the team, you have to be so much more intentional about how communication is relayed, because you're starting to have your segments, right? Depending on how you build your business, you are starting to have someone else. As a founder, someone else is helping you manage that team, Very seldom do you find founders managing 15 people at a time. They don't have the capacity to, and they're probably they're better of service in doing something different besides managing those team members. So I believe it's around 15. There is some data out there that suggests, 15 to 40, 25 being the sweet spot. Maybe when I have worked with businesses, when we get to 15 people, that's when we really have to start having conversations about how information is relayed and how to make sure that message is consistent. So there are three big reasons why this happens. The first reason is that proximity to the founder is no longer there. So people are not drinking from the source. They do not have access to the well of information because founders have capacity. They have limited capacity because they are trying to sell the business, talk to investors, talk to stakeholders, talk to all these different people to keep the business going. But when you start having people pull from the founder internally in that many directions, communication is not coming directly from the founder. There is that support, whether it be a VA or an operations manager or a COO. There's someone else who is having to be either the pass through or a different source of truth for that founder. When you go from one team to multiple teams, you have to coordinate your conversations a little bit better because they are more complex. You can't have just these, intermittent conversations and expect for information to pass through consistently. Have you ever played the game telephone? Just in a string of 8 to 10 people that the message could be misconstrued, right? When you start getting that many people within the business to support the delivery of your products or services, it's the same. It is that same process. You have got to make sure that your communication is delivered deliberately. The information doesn't flow. We talked about that. When you have that many people, the cadence of your meetings or the content of the meetings or what happens in the meetings, are we just talking? Are there meeting minutes? Are we sending recaps? Are we sending preparatory information ahead of time? What are we doing to make sure that information is clear and easily referenceable when we go to meet? That is how we construct how information moves throughout the business. When you start to get to, that 15 people, you actually start building a culture in the business. And the culture is such a beautiful thing. It happens whether you want it to or not. And it's up to us as business leaders to intentionally build it, because if we don't, it'll happen anyway. It will happen anyway. So this is not something that you can avoid. And when you get around to those 15 people, it starts to solidify. It starts to harden. And if you're not intentional about, okay, this is how we operate, these are the practices that we do to make sure that our business works well for us. If you're not intentional on crafting those things, then it's going to happen anyway. And you're going to find that you have a culture that you didn't necessarily sign up for. It wasn't something that you were really interested in codifying and having those standards. You say, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know that this was how we were operating, but you didn't outline or design an alternative. A lot of times when we get to 15 or so employees, depending on the employee type, whether they're independent contractors or W-2 employees, there is now this conversation about, where do I fit in the organization? Where is my career going to go? Am I going to advance here? Should I be looking for something else? What longevity do I have here? If we're not having those conversations early or setting the expectation for when those conversations need to be had, that uncertainty prevents feedback from happening when it needs to. It prevents the performance from reaching the goals that you likely have set, because there's always that lingering in the back of your mind, you know, that little tickle that says, I just don't know. I just don't know. And the answer doesn't have to be bad, but uncertainty is oftentimes worse than knowing the bad thing. Not knowing the answer at all makes people anxious, and you don't want to have that built-in anxiety in your business, because when you bring on new team members, if you're trying to attract better quality talent, they feel that when they get there. When you place emphasis on like informal communication, you can't rely on these side conversations to communicate the biggest priorities in the business. And so when you have 15 or so people and you start building like this structure of your business, there are bound to be some breakdowns. And there are three things that I want you to know, or three signals that I want you to keep an eye out for, that should be a light bulb to you to say, oh, wait a minute. Something's not working. Something's not right. The first one is the customer experience. If you're starting to get a bunch of mixed reviews, if you're starting to get a bunch of inquiries as far as like support and questions and things, you're like, dang, I thought that was pretty clear. Like, why have 3 people asked about that? Something is happening with your messaging, whether it be on print, on paper, on video, the actual tangible messaging, or the things that people are saying or not saying. There's a gap happening there. The next thing is communication that's just not of the same quality. It's just uneven. It's one person, you know, is taking information from a meeting and relaying what they find is important, but not really relaying nuance. You have to ensure that the pathways of information are clear and there is some consistency with that, and people know that, hey, it's important that you articulate what's happening with us, what's next, what's our priority, completely and clearly. And then the third thing is employees interpreting the brand differently. I approach business business management in a brand as business management style. And so when I say brand, I mean the codified, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is who we do it for. And this is why we do it outside of just making money. It is that core foundation. It is the DNA. It is the if someone says something outside of this, you would not know that it is us. It is the way that you can distinguish yourself from literally everyone else within your market. And it is an absolute requirement for business growth and sustainability. Now, when you have people inside your business that have different definitions of what that is, you're going to produce different operations. You're going to produce different experiences. And that lack of consistency is going to be cause confusion for the brand overall. That brand equity that you're trying to develop so that you can use it as leverage, it's not going to be clear, and it's not going to grow as quickly as you believe it should, or that you have forecasted that it should. And so when you have people on your team with different interpretations of that brand, that's how you know that there's the message. You can communicate via marketing the message to your clients all day and say, oh yeah, they know. But when they get in the business, when they have made the purchase, when they have actually converted and they start hearing something different, we can't just look for it. We have to look behind the conversion to see where the message might be getting mixed. And that's one of my biggest biggest things to point out when I come into companies and I'm doing an audit and we're trying to find the alignment gaps. It is like, okay, when your marketing says one thing, sales says another thing, and the delivery of the product or service seems completely different, that's where you start seeing the big cracks that turn into chasms and canyons, okay? When you have that misalignment, you don't retain customers. If you look at your retention numbers and you're like, dang, they buy once, but they're not sticking around. If you say, okay, we're investing all this money to acquire customers, looking at our customer acquisition costs, and it costs more to acquire customers than it does to keep them. Where are we under investing in retaining our customers or providing them solutions that evolve with them? How does that influence our product development? When it is cheaper for us to retain customers, but we're constantly out here trying to acquire new ones, but not delivering on the promises that we're making through our marketing and through our sales. Where is that chasm happening? And where do we need to retrain our priorities or our focus to address those things? Those are the big questions that I get to facilitate and ask the teams and the leaders that I work with. When those early hires, those people that have been with you just from the beginning, been getting it out of the mud, just going through the trenches with you through the confusion to clarity, the ups and downs and revenue and different inflection points. When those people, as the team grows, those people start to see the ownership and the influence that they have dilute. And that dilution causes uncertainty. And that uncertainty causes anxiety. And then they question their place within the business, right? If we're not clear in our communication and articulating how everyone can show up within that brand, within that business, then we're going to lose our early champions too soon. Too soon. We're going to lose the wisdom and the experience that they've had way too soon to translate it to newer team members. And so the motivation and the mindset and the dynamics within the teams, once you get to that 15, 20, 25, they shift if we don't address these things head on. So growing a business, growing a team is an incredible opportunity. But as some of these things, the alignment within the business, the communication pathways, and the messaging that truly matter, so that you're not only serving the clients that you want to serve and getting the best fit in the door and getting them to convert, but you're also supporting your team in really providing that consistent experience and understanding their place in this larger vision, and understanding that, yes, You may have some different focuses throughout the day, but the message is consistent. This is what is important for us right now. This is what is changing right now. This is the question that we are asking right now, because I don't believe that founders and CEOs and executive teams have to have all of the answers. Sometimes it's really about asking the right questions and seeing what information you can glean from the teams that are out there putting their hands on your business every single day. So I don't want these videos to be very long. I want them to be small snippets of your day. If you want to discuss brand alignment within your business or organization, drop a comment. Let me know what is coming up for you, and if this video sparked something for you, sparked a question, sparked a thought, sparked a decision, I would love to hear more about that. I'll see you all in the next video.